A show created by the fans, for the fans. We are your home for Ohio State football coverage all year long. The Scarlet and Gray Podcast, a Network 216 production. Live weekdays on the Network 216 YouTube channel. Send us all your questions and comments on Twitter at @VSG_podcast. Now, here are your hosts, Tyler Johnson, Jordan Dalton, and Nick Leisure.
Buckeye Nation, good evening and welcome to episode number 44 of the Scarlet and Gray Podcast. I am Tyler Johnson, joined as always by Mr. Nick Leisure and Jordan Dalton. Gentlemen, happy Monday night. It has been crazy 2 weeks since we recorded last. How are you guys doing this evening?
Yeah, pretty good.
Feeling very optimistic.
Yeah, I was going to say we kind of waited to do this episode because we knew some stuff was coming down the pipe, but we got hammered with way more news and way more good news for Ohio State Buckeye Nation with some of these transfers. Some players are returning, which is even crazier with what the talent that we're bringing in. I can't wait to talk about it, honestly.
Yeah, man, it's been crazy, especially obviously I was still recovering from being sick, but I mean, it's been absolutely unlike anything we've ever experienced as Buckeye fans. But before, of course, we get into it, there's a ton to talk about tonight. Before we get to any of that, guys, just as a reminder that the Scarlet and Gray Podcast and Network 216 is proud to be a partner of Homage Athletic Apparel. You're not going to find a better site, a better company to find retro athletic gear. And right now, if you're a new customer on Homage, you get 15% off your first order by just typing in your email address. If you're a first-time customer at Homage, they have all kinds of gear for you guys. And, of course, as we get closer to football season, they're going to be bringing out more Ohio State gear. Go get your Marvin Harrison Jr. tee. I know he's heading to the draft, but they came out with a great one not too long ago. Make sure you guys go get it. I'm repping, of course, CJ Stroud, one of my favorite shirts, but make sure you guys take advantage. That's homage.com and tell them that Network 216 sent you there. As always, guys, we ask if you are joining us on YouTube, just take a quick second, drop a like onto the video, subscribe if you are brand new to Network 216. We are trying to reach 3,000 subscribers, and we are nearly halfway there. So if you guys could do us a favor and subscribe, we really would appreciate that support. All right, gentlemen, we're going to start off with the latest news, and then we'll get into everything else. So the latest news as of yesterday, Ohio State landed the transfer of former Alabama quarterback, 5-star, the best quarterback in the 2024 class, Julian Sayin, has announced that he is going to be committing to the Buckeyes. There are reports that Ohio State was not sure if they were going to take on Julian due to disturbing the current state of the quarterback room moving forward. But at the end of the day, they took on who they feel is the top quarterback in the class of 2024. So first off, I ask you guys, this one, there's been the fan base is split on this one. How do you guys feel about adding who many experts believe and Ohio State believes is the top quarterback in the class of 2024, even though you have a 5-star you're bringing in Aaron Nolan, you have a 4-star that's going to be a 5-star coming in 2025 in Tavian St. Clair. How do you guys feel about adding Julian Sayin to the quarterback room?
Keep stacking it, dude.
Yeah, it's one of those things where we're at this point in college football where if you have a chance to grab talent, you grab it wherever and whenever you can. He was interested, and it sounds like because of the acquisition a couple of days prior where we brought on Bill O'Brien, which I'm sure we're going to get into, and Bill O'Brien was one of his main recruiters for him to go to Alabama originally out of high school. I think it just made way more sense with Nick Saban retiring, and he wanted to be somewhere where he knew it was already developed. He didn't want to be part of a program that was kind of rebuilding per se. I don't think Alabama's in a rebuilding state by any means, but a lot of these players went to Alabama because of Nick Saban, and it sounds like Julian Sain was one of those players. So I think the Nick Saban thing definitely triggered a lot of these transfers. And for a lot of these transfers, Ohio State was number 2 when it came down to it, leaving high school. And so Nick Saban leaving just opened the door for Ohio State, and Ohio State has taken full advantage of the transfer portal and NIL. It sounds like that Cotton Bowl loss has kind of inflamed a lot of the boosters to really push for NIL. Ryan Day's pretty much had enough of waiting around and trying to figure it out and doing it the old school way. And he has led the charge, and it's shown with the talent that we've brought in. So I'm all for it. Julian Sain coming in, the more the merrier in that QB room. Aaron Nolan's been on record saying that he wants to compete. He doesn't want the job handed to him. And so if he ends up winning out the job and he's the better quarterback, like, props to him, man. I want the best quarterback to play for Ohio State, whether that's Sain, Howard, Nolan, St. Clair, whoever it may be, Keenholz, Brown, which I'm sure one of these guys is going to end up leaving, but we'll get into that a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, you can never have too many 5-star quarterbacks in a room, So if you can get two of the top 4 quarterbacks in the class, you might as well throw the bag at them and just get it done. And I know we're probably gonna talk about it later on too. But I mean, this year's a turning point for Ryan Day, I think, because I think he's really starting to realize that, okay, maybe we need to just take on this NIL and just go all in. And I mean, obviously the money is there, the funding is there. They just kind of had to unlock the potential of the NIL, and the foundation does a really good job of. I mean, they have in the last week of just figuring ways to get these guys to come onto campus and be here and commit. So, yeah, I mean, Keenholz or Brown, obviously one of those guys is going to be the odd man out, which is unfortunate because, I mean, we've never gotten to see Devin Brown play, and who knows, he might stay. He might want to stay and compete. But I think by the time fall comes around, one of those two is going to be heading off somewhere else.
Yeah, I think first off, I see Jermaine. Thank you for joining us, my friend. I think Lincoln and Mr. Glass Devin Brown transfer. It's unfortunate that's his nickname, but unfortunately kind of makes sense right now. Derek Glazier asked us, do athletes have to stay at least 1 year before hitting the portal again? Nope. The new rule states a college athlete technically could transfer to a new school every year. So that's what makes – so now it makes things really interesting.
Yeah.
Just the windows.
Yeah, so I just want to explain the windows real quick. It's whenever a college opens its admissions for the next semester, an athlete can now transfer and then be eligible to play. So like in the past, you would have to either sit out the season and then you could be eligible, or you'd have to get a waiver to be able to play. Now, whenever you have an admission window for that school, you're eligible to transfer, and then you can play that upcoming season. So I just wanted to clarify that a little bit.
The only people that can enter the portal, because the transfer portal is closed, the only players that can enter are Alabama or Washington players because they lost their coach. So could Keon Keeley from Alabama, who Ohio State targeted very heavily in the last recruiting cycle, enter the portal? He could. We'll see. But anyway, something about Julian Sain. The thing that this tells me more than anything else, for a long time, we've been waiting on Ryan Day to kind of, at least I have, you got to do what it takes to win. You cannot, feelings do matter somewhat, but your goal as the head football coach at Ohio State making $10 million a year, you have to do and bring in as much talent to this school as you possibly can to win a national championship. And that's what right now Ryan Day is actually doing. He is saying, you know what? We brought in Aaron Nolan. We have this loaded quarterback room. We have a lot of talent here, but we're going to bring in Julian because what this is going to do, it's going to increase the level of competition, and we're going to have 2 5-stars, possibly 3, be battling it for the job in 2025. That's what it tells me. Because here's the reality, guys. Regardless of what happens with Keenholz and Devin Brown, because I do think one of them transfers, if not both, the situation moving forward is this. Guys are going to leave regardless. Regardless if you bring in Julian Sain or not, somebody is transferring in the spring. Either Devin Brown or Lincoln Keenholz is gone in the spring, one of them, if you don't bring in Julian Sain. So you bring in Julian Sand, the inevitable is going to happen anyway. So why not add another talent? Why not add the top quarterback from the class of 2024? It's a no-brainer in my mind. I know that they were on the fence about it, but at the end of the day, Ryan Day is showing us he is now doing what is in the best interest of the university and the school and doing whatever it takes. He's doing what Kirby Smart does. He's doing what Nick Saban would do. You are bringing the best players here, regardless of how many guys you have at that spot. You are bringing in the best talent, and that talent will win out.
Well, and I think now with the acquisition of Bill O'Brien as well, I mean, that's two really, really good quarterback developers on the same staff now. You know, and especially with the relationship that Sane and O'Brien already have, that's just going to, you know, amplify his development even that much more. So, I mean, what says that he can't go out? I mean, he might turn heads in the spring. We don't really know. I mean, obviously Howard's brought in to be the starter, but if the coaching staff and they all agree that Sane can come in and be the guy year one, why not throw him out there? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and I know TJ sent reports earlier to Jordan and I, and it was, I mean, that Sagan's already in the playbook. Like, he's getting after it. He wants to hit the ground running as soon as spring opens up and they get to go out on the field. So, I mean, what says he can't go out and start? But yeah, I think with O'Brien and Day now together, that quarterback room is just going to get that much better.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And that's what this is what we should want as Buckeye fans. Like, yeah, okay, some guys might transfer. We're Ohio State. We're gonna have 15 guys, 20 guys probably transfer every year, and we're just gonna bring more talent in. Yeah. This is college football now. The winner in 2025 between Air Nolan and Julian Sand, and maybe Tavian St. Clair. I don't know if he's competing as a true freshman for the starting job, but he could. The thing is, you want 5 stars competing for the quarterback job. If you have 2, if you have 3, that's what you want. Whoever loses, they're going to go. They're going to go somewhere else and probably be successful, but you have your guy. That's what you want to see as a Buckeye fan. That's what you have to see. To answer Jermaine here, there is no word on any Washington offensive linemen that the Buckeyes are connected to. One already committed to Alabama. Another one has a visit with Ole Miss lined up. There are none connected to Ohio State this time. There's nobody connected to Ohio State outside of potentially if someone else from Bama gets in the portal. But just had to address that. So, Derek Glazier also asks us, Big Ten championship or bust, stay on the hot seat if they don't win it outright. You could play Michigan twice. You lose one or both. What happens today? One of you guys want to take this one first? Because I'll finish it.
I think Ryan obviously I think he's feeling the heat a little bit, especially not only is there a new president at the university, there's a new athletic director at the university. So, I mean, those are 2 new guys that didn't bring Ryan Day in. They didn't hire him. They have no connection to him really at all. So it's like, yeah, I think they got to bring home some significant hardware. You know, like let's say they don't win the Big Ten. They win like a first-round playoff game. That's not getting it done. You know, especially with this roster that they've got together, they got to win the Big Ten, and it's probably going to come down to them in Oregon. Is what I'm already thinking ahead. It's probably going to come down to them in Oregon for the Big Ten. But yeah, Big Ten or bust is definitely in play.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing beating Michigan. I mean, you look at Michigan, what they're losing. Jim Harbaugh's already halfway out the door. Like that's a must win. If he loses that game, I can't see him staying, especially with the heat. He would just be getting around Columbus and around the university for losing that game. So, yeah, I think if he beats Michigan and wins the Big Ten, wins a playoff game, I think his job is safe for a while. But we're assembling the Avengers right now. We're bringing in – we have the most talented roster in college football, especially on the offensive side of the ball, with just recruit talent, 5 stars, number 1 players in their class. You look who we're bringing in with Jeremiah Smith, Julian Sane, all these young guys. I'm sure we're going to talk about Judkins and who's coming back on the offense side of the ball. We really are only missing 3 big key players on offense from last season: Cade Stover, Kyle McCord, who was our starting quarterback, and Marvin Harrison Jr. Everybody else is coming back. So, and what we've added on offense, we're not really taking a step back offensively. So, yeah, I think he's on the hot seat, especially if he doesn't, like Nick said, bring home some hardware this year.
Yeah, I mean, you got to win. You have to win at least the Big Ten, because if you don't win the Big Ten, you better be winning a national championship. There's no connection to Ryan. Like you said, Nick, there's no connection they have to Ryan Day whatsoever. He's got to go out and win. And one thing we know from this AD, big into NIL, not afraid to splash the cash, and he'll have even more resources at disposal at Ohio State. The one thing, of course, is the repercussion if it did come to that, who all leaves. Yeah. That's the biggest question, but hopefully we never get to that point. Ryan Day has everything. The reality is, if you can't win with this talent that you've brought in, and you can't win anything, dude, you're not cut out for this level. Because there is no excuse. You have everything. There is no roster in college football that compares to what you have. Honestly, I expect them to lose maybe one game already. Looking at one game, dude, this team should go undefeated. They're that talented. Yeah. But I mean,
things happen.
Things
happen. Well, and like, you never really know what plays out with injuries and stuff as the season goes on. But just looking at this team on paper, like, we should be the favorites for the national title next year. Just with what we're returning, like, as half these players we didn't even realize were coming back. We all thought we were losing everything. Yeah.
Well, I thought the defense was just going to be tore up. But
also, hey, Jack, whatever your name is, let us know what team you root for. I know you're not an Ohio State fan, but a lot of the facts you're bringing up just aren't true. So if you would like identify what team you root for, that'd be nice. Anyway, the big news though, Julian Satan's great, but that wasn't even the news of last week. So Ohio State, by everyone's surprise, because everybody was shocked, at 8 o'clock on Friday night, secured a commitment from Caleb Downs, the Alabama safety, freshman All-American, started every game for Alabama as a true freshman. He is one of the top defensive playmakers in college football, chose to play for the Buckeyes.
Leading tackler in Alabama last year.
Yeah, leading tackler. What's interesting about this, there are, by all accounts, and it's been reported a lot, that Caleb Downs was in Athens on Friday all day. They were processing his classes to enroll in Georgia. But from 4 o'clock to 8 o'clock, there was no communication with him or his family. And after that, they don't know what happened up until he announced his commitment. But Caleb Downs decides to choose the Buckeyes. It's the type of addition that the Buckeyes had one hole on defense. One. That was safety. You brought in, arguably, going into next season, one of the top safeties in college football. And not only that, an elite punt returner. So
dude.
Talk about this addition for the Buckeyes.
Thank God, because I'm sick and tired of watching fair catch after fair catch after fair. Like, don't get me wrong. Ballard, he's got speed. So, like, when he's got 10 yards of open grass and he's fair catching the football, I don't know if that's a coaching decision or what. But, I mean, not only on, like you said, defensively, it is an insane addition, because now what they're going to do, because you lose Steel Chambers, you lose Tommy Eichenberg, so now Sonny Styles can slip right into that linebacker spot where he's probably going to play at the next level. He's going to be a linebacker. With his athleticism, line him up in the box and he can just go. And now you got Lathan Ransom and Caleb Downs at your safety positions. I mean, it's a dream addition. It really is, because he can do – and even there's going to be probably ways that I wouldn't be shocked we get him the ball on offense, just because that's how electric that kid is. And, yeah, I mean, watching, like Jordan was talking to us off the line, just watching some of his punt return highlights, some of his highlights in general, I mean, the kid he's a stud. I mean, he's a dude. So it's big-time addition.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy that is great in pass coverage, great in run support. He's got incredible size for the safety position as an 18-year-old.
Yeah.
We were talking about it. I'm like, man, if this kid was 2 years older and he declared for the draft, he'd be a first-round pick just based off of what he put on tape his freshman year.
Mm-hmm.
And so I couldn't be more happy with that addition. I didn't think we had a chance at him, honestly, especially him being from Georgia. But, you know, I know Ohio State definitely they were definitely sweetening the pot a little bit, and they were there all day going over his fit on defense and ways that they were going to use him. And I think they just sold it better. I honestly do. I think they outbid and outsold Georgia on this because he's the number one transfer portal player this year. He might have been the number one transfer portal player in the last 3 years.
The only player that's ranked higher than him is Quinn Ewers.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude.
That's it, I believe.
Hey, and Quinn Ewers is a Buckeye too, so.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
But no, I mean, just still, and the fact that Georgia has his position coach, like his position coach went from Bama to Georgia, and I mean, I thought that alone was going to be the selling point that Georgia had, and that was going to be enough for him. But I mean, yeah, like we said, when those 4 hours that everything just kind of went dark, and then all of a sudden he's announcing he's coming to Columbus, it's just like, wow. I don't know what they did, but hey, I'm not mad about it.
No, I mean, the thing about this, as soon as they got Tavares Robinson, and it was fair enough. Everyone thought he was going to Georgia. I mean, everybody thought he was going to Georgia. The thing that caught my eye was the fact that at least the reason I thought we had somewhat of a chance, and when I mean somewhat, still slim, but at least, as Jim Carrey would say, so you're telling me there's a chance. When Ohio State had the opportunity to go down and meet with him and his family and visit, that's when I thought they had an opportunity to, like, because he wasn't going to visit both schools because he'd just been recruited by both schools the year prior. There wasn't a reason to visit. When Ohio State got that opportunity, I thought, okay, they might have a chance to at least do something here. And then by all accounts, apparently they were offering more money than Georgia. I still don't know, honestly, how Georgia fumbles this. I mean, you have everything. Georgia, by all accounts, has one of the best defensive recruiting staff, even better what we have. I mean, let's be real. With the amount of talent they have on that coaching staff, the fact that they couldn't close this is really surprising to me because they had everything. They had absolutely everything, and they still couldn't do it. So it goes to show, man, Ryan Day and Tim Walton. Tim Walton does it again. So it's just incredible. It really is. Now looking at one of the additions that is going to pair with Travion Henderson next year. Ohio State, a couple weeks ago, landed a commit from Quinshon Judkins, the sophomore running back from Ole Miss. Considered, at least by me, I think he's the best running back in college football, and I'm talking absolute all-around skill set. He dominated what is statistically, defense-wise, one of the toughest divisions in football, conferences in football, the SEC. He didn't visit anywhere else. It seemed like he knew immediately he wanted to go to Ohio State. Guys, talk about this addition. I mean, if you would have told me just transfer portal wise, we would have just added Quinshon Judkins and that's it.
Oh my gosh.
Dude, I'd still be over the moon. Yeah. I can't believe we landed him.
When Judkins when he had entered the portal and all the buzz was he's seeking that money. Yeah. He wants the highest bidder. I was like, we're out. We're like, there's no shot we're getting Judkins. Because at that point, we hadn't really spent a whole lot of money. We went out, we got Will Howard. We don't really, and it's just we don't really know how much money we're like throwing at these players and how that's working. But I was like, man, if he's going highest bidder, he's going to A&M. He's going
Miami.
Georgia, Miami, wherever these places are that are throwing a lot of money at players. And there was that buzz, and TJ was really on it with the Instagram follows, and he's sending us all the text.
I remember he showed me a tweet. It said location Columbus, and then he refreshes it, and it was gone again. It just said like Earth or something. Like TJ was a mad detective on the Quinshon.
TJ's like screenshotting stuff, sending us like Instagram. Will Howard just followed Judkins on Instagram. It's happening.
Yeah,
oh, dude,
no way. You're like, stop.
And so I think this edition, for me, when he committed, I was like, all right, Travion's gone.
He's gone. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I was like, that's great. Like we replaced one of the best with one of the best. Like that's going to work amazing. And then Travion says he's returning like Tuesday. And I'm like, dude, we have the best running back duo in college football right now. Like by far. And why would they do that? Why would they both want to stay? And it's load management. They don't want to tear their bodies up. They know what they've put on tape already. They know where they are athletically, and they know they want to win a championship in Columbus.
Well, dude, I mean, Ole Miss was running Judkins into the ground. I mean,
and I think that's a big part of why he was.
Yeah, absolutely.
He didn't want to be putting all those carries on his body.
Yeah.
He done it for 2 seasons. He decided like, hey, I put it on tape. Mm-hmm. Everybody knows what I can do. Let me go somewhere where I'm not going to play as much, but when I play, it's going to be in high stakes situations on primetime television in front of the nation, and everyone's going to be able to see it. Ohio State's the most viewed college year in, year out on national television. He knows that. Everybody knows that. And him and Travion are just going to put on a show. It's going to be really fun to watch them to share the backfield.
Dude, I feel so bad for Dallin Hayden, man.
I do too.
Like that dude, like I feel like he could start about he could start about any program in the country. I mean, I think that's how good that kid is. But I mean, when you bring in a kid like Judkins, it's just like, sorry, dude. Like, I hope Dallin sticks around. I mean,
he's gonna have a wide open room next year.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how spring goes, and how they kind of split carries and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, the Judkins thing. I mean, what's he got? 35 touchdowns total in his first 2 seasons.
He's got 34 total, but he is also the first player, and this is literally player, not SEC, just player to have since Herschel Walker to score 15 touchdowns or more in his first 2 seasons.
It's crazy, man. And to be honest with you, I haven't even really watched him play that much because I didn't really ever find myself watching Ole Miss. But yeah, just another crazy addition. And I mean, the offense is loaded, bro. I mean, and I know we're going to talk about players coming back in the next episode probably, but I mean, the transfer portal has been very good to the Buckeyes so far, especially offensively. Judkins is a big get.
He just, and I saw someone say that he had a pedestrian year this past year, dude. So a pedestrian year in college football is nearly 300 carries, 1,200 yards, 15 touchdowns, 4.3 yards a carry.
Wow, that sucks.
Playing for Ole Miss, who's not considered literally one of the teams that's competing for national titles and SEC titles. If that's your example of pedestrian, my gosh. Also, for the record, you still have not said who you're rooting for. You're just making ridiculous comments about the Buckeyes, which is fine, but I want to hear who you root for. So feel free to drop that in the chat because I'm pretty sure you're a Michigan fan. Anyway, so focus on your national title. It's amazing. Real quick, it's amazing how no, time out. Michigan fans are obsessed with Ohio State right now. They just won a national title, but they're obsessed because Ohio State's putting $10 million towards bringing their team back and all that. You know what? That's how it goes.
That's the landscape now. So.
Dude, if you're that obsessed with us, see a doctor. You just want a title, dude. You guys just want a title. And you're obsessed with who we add. What, you scared? That's what it sounds like to me.
Chill.
So here's a good question for you guys. Are you guys concerned about Bill O'Brien? Because some will say he misused Jahmyr Gibbs at Bama. I think more so that team at Bama, I don't know. They didn't have as much talent as receiver as some of the other Bama teams. I don't know if that was an issue, but some would say he misused Jahmyr Gibbs at Bama. How do you guys think he's going to handle this rotation between Judkins and TreVeyon Henderson? I think personally it's going to be a 50-50 split. And I think also if someone's got the hot hand, he's going to ride that hot hand. So how do you guys think Bill O'Brien's going to end up using the two of them?
Just based off of what you sent us, TJ, it sounds like Bill O'Brien's not in complete control of this offense. Yeah. And the reason I say that is I think Ryan Day, I think Bill O'Brien's going to call plays. Mm-hmm. I think that's already been confirmed.
Yep.
But Ryan Day is not going to give up his baby. So I think a lot of personnel decisions are going to come down to Ryan Day. I'm sure they're going to collab on a lot of it, but Ryan Day is still going to be heavily involved in the offense. And I kind of get the misuse of Jahmyr Gibbs, but Jahmyr Gibbs was still a first-round pick, and he still produced highly at Alabama. So I think I agree more with TJ. It's going to be a 50-50 split, ride the hot hand.
Yeah. I agree. I mean,
and like both these backs, you can use them at all three downs.
Right.
Passing,
honestly, they can catch passes out of the backfield. You can split them out wide. Like
you're not going to key on Judkins or Henderson and be like, this is going to be a pass play.
And you know what, dude? I wouldn't be shocked if we see them both in the backfield at some point with Will Howard. Like, I mean, dude,
it's over.
There's so many possibilities, and we're going to talk about Will Howard here in a little bit, but I mean, just his athletic ability, you could have all three of those guys in the backfield, and you don't know what's coming.
This team is a nightmare on NCAA.
Oh my God, yeah.
College football 24.
Yeah. We're going to have to say, for the online dynasty, Ohio State's off limits.
Off limits.
Buckeyes, dude. So
you're running the read option, triple option.
Yeah, it could get nasty. It could get nasty real quick.
Yeah, dude. Just absolutely. Oh man, I'm so excited. And the unfortunate thing, it's January. That's the one bummer. You brought up Will Howard, and I'm glad you brought up Will Howard. Is there any player? I'm trying to think of any player in college football history that slid into a better situation. Anybody?
No.
Will Howard comes from Kansas State, and this is not knocking Kansas State at all.
Maybe Jalen Hurts when he went to Oklahoma. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
That'd be about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Caleb Williams at USC was pretty good.
Yeah.
Talk about Will Howard and all the talent he's going to be getting.
I mean, and the things that I see about Will Howard, they're like, oh well, he's just another Kyle McCord type player, and he's not really that much of an upgrade. And these people, I mean, they obviously haven't seen him. I mean, the dude is a unit. I mean, he is a big dude. I think he's 6'4", 220, 6'5". I mean, he's not your typical, I'm going to sit in the pocket, kind of throw the ball. I mean, he wants to play. He wants to play physical, and he wants to run the ball too. I mean, last year at Kansas City, he ran a lot also. So I think people are doubting just his athletic ability alone, because now you have a guy that can throw the ball as well as run. And it's funny because this is kind of what Ohio State fans thought Devin Brown was supposed to be, kind of the athletic guy that can throw, but he's also a threat with his legs. But again, we're probably never going to know.
I think I had actually made that comment was Will Howard is what we thought Devin Brown would be.
Right.
Mm-hmm. In terms of what we can do in this offense. And granted, we haven't seen Will Howard play yet, but in a Buckeye uniform, but just what we've seen from him out of Kansas State and his feet and his ability to throw, he's got a great arm. I wouldn't say it's an elite arm, but he's got a good arm and he can make throws down the field. But I last podcast you weren't on, but I made the comparison that he's kind of like a Josh Allen light type player. Yeah. And TJ was like, yeah, that's kind of like a thing that's been said
That's who he compares himself to.
Yeah.
But then he goes on a podcast and said he compares his game to Josh Allen. So I don't feel as stupid for saying it, but I don't think he's Josh Allen. I think he has that prototype.
Yeah. I liked so Bobby Carpenter on the Fan. He made a really good analysis. He said he's a chain mover. Like if it's 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, if the first option's not there, he's not afraid to tuck it and kind of just fight for those yards and get those 3, 2-3 yards, whatever. And now I think on 3rd and 1 situations, we finally have a quarterback that will just go under center and just QB sneak it and get 2 yards. I mean, we haven't had that the last couple of years, even with CJ. I mean, we never really had it. So now those short yardage is always kind of, and it's always been kind of a rough, especially this past year, like 3rd and 1 situations killed us because we try to get too cute. We do something stupid, and then it's like, now we're screwed. But I feel like now the guy like Howard, he'll go under center and just go, and pick up.
There was a play against Notre Dame. I remember specifically texting the group, and it was a jet sweep with Xavier Johnson on 4th and 1. And we got denied. And I sent a text and I was like, if Ryan Day keeps doing that this year, like we're gonna lose 3 games.
Yeah.
And I think having that quarterback is definitely gonna make a huge difference.
Absolutely. And I think again, Will Howard's coming into a great situation. What I want to see, I'm hoping I get this, bring back the Miami Dolphins version of Wildcat, put Judkins or Henderson at quarterback, use the motion of another one, put Howard on the outside. You can run pass play. There's all kinds you could do with that group. That would just be so much fun for me. I really would love to see that. Will Howard, though, I mean, there are some wondering that is there a quarterback battle? You brought in Will Howard to start. Will Howard did not come here to sit the bench. I know that people are going to say, well, if Devin Brown beats him out, listen, no disrespect to Devin Brown. They brought in Will Howard to start. They brought in Will Howard to be the starting quarterback. Will Howard could have gone to Miami. He could have gone to any other place needing a quarterback. And there were plenty that were trying to recruit. USC comes to mind. Could have gone to USC. He chose Ohio State. And that's something I would keep in mind. I think he's going to be very, very good for the Buckeyes. He's never – there's not many quarterbacks ever that get this much talent around him ever. And Will Howard's going from Kansas State to Ohio State. So talk about it. And
TJ, you said it too. It's like he broke all the Kansas State records with, I'm not saying they're a mediocre football team, but it's like they're not the talent that Ohio State has out wide. Like Deuce Vaughn was his best playmaker, 2 years ago or last year. It's just like that's a big upgrade when you got 5-star receivers everywhere. You got, the best running back duo in football in your backfield. So I like you said, and I know you've talked about his potential with the Heisman just because of what he's going to have around him. I think he's a top 5 favorite,
plus 1,200 right as of now.
Yeah, to win the Heisman. So, that's just from him transferring. That's with nothing. He hasn't even thrown a pass to these guys yet, and they're already saying that he's going to be a top 5, guy for the Heisman. So it's kind of crazy. But yeah, it's a perfect situation for him to just kind of plug and play and get some good stuff on tape and get ready to go to the league.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to end the show. We're going to have a little bit of fun here. So we are going to rank the top 5 additions for the Buckeyes that we like. We're going to do recruits, transfer portal, and even members of the coaching staff. So it's going to be a little bit of fun. Nick, this was your idea, so we're going to have you go first. Starting at number 5. Start at number 5. Who is it for you?
Well, crap. See, at number 5, I had a player coming back, so I wasn't prepared. Well, crap. Well, I'm just going to say it anyway. I don't really care.
That's fine.
JTT coming back, dude, on that defensive line. He easily could have gone. I think he probably would have been a late first rounder. They were projecting him to be a late first rounder. But, I mean, to have him back on the edge, I think he was finally – he kind of had a weird year this year. You saw flashes like you have his whole career at Ohio State. But I think he's going to come back for a reason, and he wants to bring home some hardware. So I think he's going to have a really good year. But, yeah, I think JTT is probably my fifth guy that I was most excited about to come back. You want me to go my whole list or no?
No, let's go one at a time. Let's build a little suspense here.
Yep.
All right, JD. Who is number 5 for you?
Number 5 is Will Howard. Just basically what we talked about. He's bringing a lot of experience to the quarterback position. He brings a dynamic we haven't had an Ohio State quarterback since really JT Barrett, with how we run our offense and having a quarterback that can make plays with his feet in intentional run situations. CJ could kind of do it out of rhythm. He'd be able to get out of the pocket and run a little bit, but we're going to intentionally run Will Howard. And I think that's going to add just a crazy dynamic where you're having 10 guys block for Will Howard on a play, or you're having a jet motion, you're causing misdirection. Will Howard's going to keep the ball. And he's not going to break huge runs, I don't think, but he's just going to get those yardage. They get that yardage that we need, get a good first down play where we get 4 or 5 yards and we're not behind the sticks, and keep the offense on schedule. I just think that's just going to make a huge difference offensively. And really just the veteran presence is going to be exactly what we need, especially with all the star players.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I'm going to go with Will Howard as well for number 5. I think Will Howard is the type of quarterback that, I mean, you really mentioned the Buckeyes haven't had in a while. He's also just built different than any quarterback Ohio State's had in a very long time. I mean, he's 6'5", 242. He's a big quarterback. I mean, you look at his you look at his numbers. You look at his numbers. I mean, nearly 2,700 yards this year, 24 touchdowns, 10 picks. He has passing records at Kansas State. He led him to a Big 12 title with very little top-notch skill position players around him. To me, I just think that's the perfect guy to come in here. You have a guy that has never had this type of talent around him. He's going to have everything at his disposal. We have an NFL, a guy with NFL experience calling plays. Bill O'Brien's called plays for Bill Belichick, Nick Saban. I think it's going to be a great fit. I really do. So, yeah, Will Howard for me as well as at number 5.
Cardell Jones body type.
Ooh, nice. Yeah.
Just without the freaking cannon.
The freaking, 50
but your body type though,
that dude's arm.
Absolutely. All right, Nicholas.
Well, Will Howard I had at 4 for me. So
that's fun.
For all the above reasons. So Will Howard at 4 for me. I don't have to explain myself. Y'all did a great job.
For number 4 for me, this is actually a recruit that we brought in on signing day. It's Jeremiah Smith. Wow. This guy can play football. I was telling my wife, I was watching this All-American Bowl, top high school players in the country. It's the first drive of the game. Jeremiah Smith touchdown. They take him out. I was just like, he just makes him look silly, wide open.
I remember because I was watching it too. The route, dude, he just ran a double move, and the corner was just lost. There's nowhere around him. I mean, he had 10 yards of separation.
I mean, this guy's 6'3", 210 pounds as an 18-year-old. He's going to come in. He's going to be our number 1 receiver. Number 2. I would have a really hard time not throwing him the ball every single play.
Yeah.
I think he's going to fill that Marvin Harrison void perfectly. There's a reason he's the number 1 player on every single recruiting site except for ESPN, because he's not an SEC
joke in recruiting. ESPN's a joke.
Yeah, because he's not an SEC guy. You're right.
He's number 7. Everyone else has him number 1. But
go look at any recruit that Ohio State got in this class. Go compare it on every site, and then look at ESPN, and it's 10. So ESPN's ridiculous, dude.
But yeah,
Ridiculous.
the consensus number one overall recruit. I think he's the next one. I think he's going to be one of those guys, first round pick. I am super excited to watch him play.
Number 4 for me. I'm changing it from what I originally had here, and I'm going to explain why. Number 4 for me is a guy that we needed to land on signing day, and literally 10 minutes before he was about to announce his decision, he decided to stay with the Buckeyes. Edric Houston, I don't think people really comprehend how important it was to get him into this class, knowing that you lost out on Marquise Lightfoot, who took a bag at Miami. You already lost Justin Scott, who flipped from the Buckeyes to take a bag at Miami. One thing Ohio State struggled with the last couple cycles is landing elite defensive end talent. They brought in Edric Houston, and this guy he might get starting snaps as a freshman. I mean, like as a rotational guy. He is 6'3" already, and he's 269 pounds. He is built right now to be a college-level D1 defensive end, and it's just a monumental pickup for the Buckeyes here. He's the type of guy that they have needed for a long time, because if you look at what we've added recently, JT Tuimoloau and Jack Sawyer, we really haven't brought in a 5-star defensive end since those guys. This is what gets you back on track with that. And the good news is Larry Johnson closed it. So did Ryan Day. This past year, he had 45 tackles, 10 quarterback hits, 5 sacks, 5 forced fumbles, pass deflection in the playoff. And then in the 2022, 64 tackles, 11 tackles for loss, 10 sacks, 15 quarterback pressures. The guy's going to be a monster for the Buckeyes. And for me, he's number 4. I switched mine up from earlier, but for me, I'm not going to have Jeremiah Smith on this list just because I wanted a little bit something different. But if I had an extra spot, of course, he'd be on here. But give me Edric Houston for 4.
Number 3.
Wait, before you go, I just want to piggyback off that a little bit. And that was before we knew JTT and Jack Sawyer were coming back.
Yeah.
So him from the team
even bigger
was huge at the time because we thought we were losing our 2 starting defensive ends. So I think that was a huge pickup for the Buckeyes. All right.
Number 3, Mr. Judkins coming over from Ole Miss. I think this brings a different dynamic, and more firepower. Him and Travion, I think, are going to play off each other really well. And when you have a chance to go get a back like that, you got to go do it, especially with, Mayan leaving, Chip Trainum leaving. So you had some holes. So, and you got 3 running backs coming in the class this year, which also helps. But, you can never have too many running backs in a room. And with how injuries happen, you just never know. So getting Judkins with his talent, it was a no-brainer. So I got him at number 3 for us.
Yeah, my number 3 is also Judkins. Just the way that we can play offense and run the football that's been like kind of the Achilles heel of this team is like if we can't run the football, our passing game out of rhythm, we can't get a first down. Like I feel like a lot of times this past season we were playing football and just getting stuck on the field. Like we get a first down, like offense looks good, can't get the first down, drive stops. Like having these 2 guys, I think that's going to just open up the run game and really help this offense take that next step.
Love it. Number 3 for me. The reason I'm going with this guy at number 3 is just the opportunity that presented itself and the fact that the Buckeyes actually took advantage of it when truly at first I didn't think they would. For me, is Julian Sain is number 3. The reason why, how often after signing day does the number 1 quarterback, top 5 overall recruit, enter the transfer portal? Now, again, circumstances, I know. And then not only does he enter the transfer portal, you end up getting this guy on your roster who you believed was already the number 1 quarterback. They love Aaron Nolan, but the Buckeyes had Julian Sain number 1. They offered him. They tried to get him to flip from Bama late, and they couldn't do it. They wanted Julian Sain from the get-go, and now you got him. You got the guy that you believe is the number one quarterback in this class, and you have a guy that is now going to battle it out with Aaron Nolan to be the future quarterback at Ohio State. Julian Sain, nearly 2,400 yards, 24 touchdowns, one pick. One pick in high school this past year as a senior. He was completed nearly 75% of his passes. And he brings a little bit of mobility to him. It's a fantastic addition. I love Aaron Nolan too, but I had to go say it because the opportunity that just became present to itself. You went out, you made this move. To me, Julian Sain's number 3, and I still can't believe that the Buckeyes ended up with 2 of the top 5 quarterbacks in this class. And then if you go to Jeremiah Smith and Julian Sain, you ended up with 2 of the top 5 players in the entire country. So Julian Sain's number 3 for me.
Well said. Number 2 for me, I got Jeremiah Smith, dude. I mean, I feel like he's just gonna bring a dynamic. I mean, and the fact when you sent us over some of his early testing numbers, I mean, the dude is just off the charts, bro. I mean, I didn't realize that he's almost 6'4". I mean, I didn't realize he was that big because on TV he doesn't really it doesn't really do him any justice. But then you see the numbers, you're like, holy crap, like holy cow, this dude is just a specimen. So and the fact that we got him for 3 years at least is just incredible. So yeah, I mean Jeremiah Smith, like Jordan said, he's going to fill that Marvin Harrison Jr. role really well. I think just his ability to get open and just his physical stature in general. I mean, it's just insane. So I'm really excited to see what he does. Excited to see the spring clips because they're going to be coming hot and heavy all spring long. So it's going to be really fun to watch him play this year. But yeah, I think Jeremiah Smith, just with his playmaking ability and able to kind of fill the role of because you lose Julian Fleming, Stover, and obviously Marvin Harrison Jr. So some receivers are going to have to step up. And yeah, I think Jeremiah Smith is going to be a day one starter.
My number 2 is not a player.
Hey-o.
Number 2 is Bill O'Brien, which I was very against bringing him in. But the more I thought about it, the more I have kind of come around to the idea. The first thing was Ryan Day giving up play calling is a godsend. And that was like one of our biggest frustrations this past year was with Ryan Day was play calling. And it kind of goes back to my point with Will Howard, where we were getting stuck on offense. And it almost seems like Ryan Day doesn't know how to set up a play, or like he does know how to set it up, but he just like has really weird timing with play calls. And so I think bringing in just like a fresh set of eyes, a guy that has loads of experience coaching at some of the top universities. He was an NFL head coach, GM in Houston. He's coached in the Big Ten before, which I think is an underrated aspect of this when he coached at Penn State. So he's got experience in Big Ten. He's got experience in Big Ten weather. He's coached at Alabama under Nick Saban. He's coached most recently under Bill Belichick and Patriots offensive coordinator. So just a guy that brings a lot of experience offensively for this football team, and really just like now they have kind of a 2-headed monster in terms of recruiting and like football prowess, so to speak, with Ryan Day and Bill O'Brien, like 2 guys that really can command a room and really keep these kids in line and keep them focused on the end goal of getting to the NFL and winning a national championship. So I think it was just the more I've thought about it, I think it was a home run hire for Ohio State.
Yep, exactly. No, I completely agree, man. And Bill O'Brien's a great pickup. There's no doubt. I think he's going to end up being an underrated addition for sure. But I love it. Number 2 for me, it's Judkins, 100%. You have the opportunity to bring one of the best playmakers in college football. You do it. They did it. I can't believe he's a Buckeye more than anybody else because of the fact that it just, as soon as he entered the portal, I was like, he's a dream, but it's not going to happen. There's no way it's going to happen. And turns out now he's going to be running splitting carries with Travion Henderson. It's a dream scenario if you're an Ohio State fan. It's a nightmare scenario if you're any other team in college football. And right now, what you're going to have is ideally both are healthy. You're going to have a situation where one drive, Travion Henderson wears you down. The next drive, Quinshon Judkins wears you down. And it's going to be all game long. You're going to have some games where you might run the ball 30 to 40 times and games where Will Howard's might have to throw only 10 times. You have this much talent now around you at running back. I still can't believe it. So, yep, Quinshon Judkins for me is number 2. Nick, you're going to get into it, but we all have a tie.
I'll say you just want to count it down, TJ? You want to count us down on who number 1 is for everybody?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Caleb Downs. Yeah, I mean, I don't even have any words to say for that. I mean, just insane pickup. Totally was not expecting it. I know we were in on him since high school, and I know we finished second in his recruiting when he went to Bama. So I mean, I'm sure that played a role. I mean, we had already kind of been in his ear, and the fact that Ryan Day was able to go down there and close and bring him home is just insane to me. So the fact that we have not only one of the most dynamic defensive players in college football on our roster, just everything he does on the football field. I mean, he's just a football player, dude. And now that we get to – I mean, seeing him and Sonny Styles on the same football field is going to be fun to watch, man. And, yeah, you're right, TJ. It's only January, and I wish the season started tomorrow. But, yeah, Caleb Downs is just crazy, crazy addition.
Yeah. I think
nothing even really to add, man. Like,
yeah, I mean, you just added a second-team All-American, freshman All-American, leading tackler from Alabama. He's 19 years old, maybe 19 if he hasn't turned 19 yet. You're going to get him for 2 years, guaranteed. He's going to come in. He's probably going to be a captain on this team. But the thing that I'm most excited for, it's not what Caleb Downs is going to do on the field, but what it is going to allow the rest of the football team to do. Sonny Styles is going to be moving to weak side linebacker. We're going to have kind of a competition, I imagine, between CJ Hicks and Cody Simon for that middle linebacker spot. But just our secondary is so
good
stacked with talent right now. Denzel Burke, Nosen, Williams, Ransom. Yeah, it's dream scenario for this Ohio State defense. Jim Knowles is probably chomping at the bit to get this team out on the field and experiment with this defense, because we've been playing really well on defense, but we haven't had a player quite like Caleb Downs back there cleaning up a lot of the mistakes and making a lot of big plays, splash plays. He's the guy, dude. He's when we were in high school, we had the adjuster safety
kind of everywhere.
And the adjuster safety was supposed to be the lead tackler on the defense because of how the defense was structured, and that adjuster would just move with the ball. And Caleb Williams is the adjuster safety, and he's the best adjuster safety in college football. So I'm really excited.
Bro.
The only thing that I'm even going to add to this, because you guys have hit everything on what he is as a football player, what this does, this gives you a huge boost in recruiting moving forward. You have guys, you are now in the running for the number 1 safety. Fahim Deline is strongly looking at the Buckeyes, looking at coming to Ohio State. The number 1 safety, he's one of the top recruits in high school. You also have Trey McNutt, of course. He's an Ohio kid, the number 2 overall safety. He's looking at the Buckeyes. What this does now is it shows recruits that we're going to have this top talent here, because another position Ohio State's lacked at recently is safety. And that's why you moved on from Perry Milano. That's why you had to make that move. You now are going to have a lot of talent at safety, and it's going to bring recruits here. Tim Walton he's he's going after Brian Hartline for Ohio State's best recruiter. So it's going to be a lot of fun to see what happens moving forward. But as we're wrapping things up, guys, obviously we've talked a lot about the transfer portal. Next week, we're going to change it up a little bit. But is there anything else you want to add on this episode?
The one thing I want to add, you actually perfectly segued into it, but with bringing Bill O'Brien in to be the offensive coordinator, our former offensive coordinator this past season was Brian Hartline. So everybody's big question is like, what's going to happen to Hartline? I don't think Hartline's going anywhere.
Nothing.
Co-OC and wide receiver coach will be his titles, and he'll help come up with the game plans.
Yeah, so I think his role hasn't changed any within the team. They just wanted to bring in somebody with a little bit more experience and that could call plays. He's still our lead recruiter on offense for sure. So they didn't lose their golden boy. They just kind of beefed their staff up.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, thank you to everyone that tuned into this episode of the Scarlet and Gray podcast. As a reminder, guys, just take a quick second if you've been tuned in with us. Drop a quick like onto that video. Subscribe if you are brand new to the channel. On the road for 3,000 subscribers. Almost halfway there. Again, it's free to subscribe. It's free to show your support. It's always free to be a fan of the Ohio State Buckeyes. We will talk to you guys all again next week. As always, go Buckeyes.